Okay, so for pelvic floor treatment, posture is one of the biggest things that we start with. So with this patient in front of me, we always look from a side view of where the pelvis is and where the rib cage is. So on this patient here, we see just a little bit more of a tendency for a little bit of a forward tilt of the pelvis. That is weakness, sometimes mostly through the hamstrings and the abs. And so what we like to see, her rib cage is a little bit popped up and flared just a little bit. So we see this high hinge point is what we call it. Rib cage is up and forward, so her diaphragm might be a little bit tight. So what we'll work on her is a lot of the strengthening, but then just teaching her to kind of, if she's draped over a balance beam and her feet are dangling, where would you want to be in space to be able to balance? So that's just a little drawing up through the abdomen. And we do want this point a little higher than this point, but we want rib cage stacked over pelvis. So she already kind of self-corrected here as we're standing here. Now the other possibility would be the people who kind of like after delivery, they're butt tuckers. So butt is tucked under, they're in a little bit of a posterior tilt, and then almost kind of lean back for me like a tiny bit. So a lot of times what we see is this like abdominal gripping. So butt's tucked under and their rib cage is back behind their pelvis. That puts a lot of tension on our pelvic floor because there's a lot of downward pressure on the pelvic floor because the abs are tense all day long. So we really want the stacking right over. You also want to have equal weight through the front and back of the feet.